Here are 7 quotes that literally change the way I look at life, the way I go about life, and how I can live a better life just through these 7 perspective shifts that make you literally act like a better person and create a better reality for yourself instead of feeling stuck and feeling like life is not in your control but is the thing that controls you. But actually, you are the creator of your reality, so therefore you have the control over your entire life. And of course, there's always events you don't have control over, but the way you experience life, the way you interpret all of the things that happen, that is solely dependent on you and the way you decide to perceive your reality and how you go about it, how you act towards whatever happens. So these are the 7 things that literally help me become a better person and thus live a better life and experience a better reality. Number 1 is what you're not changing, you are literally choosing. This is so important, and this is one of the things that most people actually don't really understand. Of course, people recognize, okay, I know I have bad habits of scrolling or whatever other bad habits you have, or not doing sports or whatever. They know it, and they always say they will change, but then they always think about changing, but they never take action to change. Therefore, they literally choose to stay in the reality they're in, and they choose the bad habits. Let's say you want a different physique, right? You currently are not really happy with your own physique. You know you could be more active, get a healthier look, but you choose the current reality because you're choosing not to change. Therefore, you're literally choosing to stay stuck in whatever reality you're in now. And this doesn't just apply to sports and physique. This applies to every single aspect of life, that you're literally, you know you don't like it, but you're not changing it. So you're basically choosing that reality for yourself. If you want something else, work towards it. And I know that change, to most people, they don't even recognize it, but change is something our brain interprets as scary, okay? Change is unknown territory to our brain because, we've never experienced it before, therefore there's potential for danger, and the number one thing our brain tries to do is to help us survive. Therefore, what will it do? It will create little things like procrastination, self-sabotage, hesitation, anxiety, whatever it can to stop you from pursuing it, right? And it's not doing that with any bad intention. It's literally just trying to protect you and keep you alive. But the truth is, we live in a world where, thankfully, most of us don't actually have to worry about that. But still, we have this biological programming of, the potential for danger. That is danger that is threatening your life, and therefore, your brain activates that survival mode, and therefore change is still interpreted subconsciously as a potential for danger, and thus it's so hard for people to actually change. Now, there are some things that some people might say, hey, I know this is bad, I want it to be different, but I can't because of specific circumstances, right? Whether it is financial struggles or something else that is limiting you and not allowing you, for example, to have the time to pursue something. But the truth is, we have a lot of programs within us that were given to us from society or parents or whatever it was that made us believe certain things. And the truth is that you have power over everything in your life. And whenever you feel like something is controlling you, that means you're just not taking and recognizing the power within you to actually change something, because you have the power to change so much. And a lot of people think that circumstances don't depend on them, but reality is just a reflection of the internal world. And as soon as you recognize that, your life changes, because now things start aligning depending on what is going on in here, and you recognize it. And then if things don't exactly align and things happen not in the way you expected, you can reflect on it. You can realize, what does that show about what is going on internally? Do I have a blockage? Do I have limiting beliefs that are manifesting this type of reality? And then when you process that, when you work on it, reality shifts in ways you could have never expected. And as soon as you realize you have more control over your life than you think you do, you have literally so much control over your life. And most people will say, like, no, that's not true, because sometimes stuff just happens, right? And we need to deal with it. Yeah, but who's dealing with it at the end of the day? It's you. Yes, things might happen, and these things might sometimes be really random and not in your control, obviously, but the way you experience life is 100% in your control. People experience some of the most gruel and horrifying circumstances in their life, and they end up sometimes being happier than the people that have it all, right? Financial stability, freedom, whatever you could picture, right? A person that has it all can be depressed, and a person that has gone through the most struggles in life, abusive relationships, and just experience things that most people don't actually experience and can't even imagine experiencing, but they end up being and living such a happier life than a person that always had it all, that just always got, no struggles, no nothing. That person may end up being depressed. So external circumstances don't actually have an impact on us internally, because we know so many people that have it all, that have the most stable life that all of us strive for, and they end up being depressed, using drugs, or just living a life that doesn't fulfill them. Why? They have everything that we think fulfills us, but that's not true, because money doesn't fulfill you. It is what you come on earth to do that fulfills you. And you need to figure that out. And that is what everyone figures out. And everyone is unique. Everyone has a different life path. And that is what I am here for you. I am here to just guide you, to make you see other aspects to life that many people don't actually talk about. My second quote is, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Okay? What does that mean? I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Whatever we have experienced, we know, right? It's in our brain, it's somewhere, especially those experiences that literally had an emotional effect on us. Whether negative or positive, they stick. But especially negative ones tend to stick in our brain, and that is why so many people think that they're struggling with overthinking and stuff, because their mind is just replaying the negative things, and it's easier for our mind to remember those, especially the ones that negatively emotionally impacted us. And the higher the intensity, the easier the brain remembers, unless the brain decides to actually forget the trauma, especially people that experience childhood trauma. Like, their brain, it is subconscious, but it gets locked in subconsciously, but they don't actually remember anything. But anyway, that's a whole thing. But basically, it's super easy for us to live in the past, right? Our mind always flashes back moments, and so many people are disconnected from the present moment just because their mind either goes to the past and relives these experiences, because you literally relive them every single time. Your brain doesn't distinguish something actually experienced versus something imagined. So whenever you reimagine or that past in the brain, you re-experience it emotionally, with your body, with your mind, you re-experience it. Okay, so this is something so important for you to realize, that the past, every single time you replay it, you relive it. Okay, that's so important. Or people are stuck in the future, and again, it's worries tied to the future. What should I do? Or what should I do when I get home? Should I cook this or should I cook that? Even just that, okay, as simple as just thinking about what you should eat for dinner tonight is a thing that most people do, and that seems so normal to us, but that is literally like, you're not in the present moment. You're not thinking, oh, what should I do right now? What feels like I need right now? What does my body crave right now? Does it need a little bit of of movement, or like something to eat, or am I dehydrated? Things like that. Like, people think so far ahead, and so many people don't live in the present moment, and that itself disconnects you from the whole experience of now. But anyways, the quote was that you can only understand your life backwards, right? You can only look back and you can be like, oh my god, if only I knew that this was gonna end up being like this and like that, or like just things happen that you never expected, right? Or it's easy to relive those moments where you felt embarrassed or upset, or like someone hurt you or whatever happened, right? But then looking forwards is like, you need to live forwards the right way, and not in a way that you're worried about the future or you want the future to unfold a certain way, but more so living in a way that, you know, aligns with the future you want to have. And that doesn't mean I need to be living constantly worried about the future. I need to be living now the way I want to live in the future, right? So if you want to experience certain feelings in the future, right? Most of us, everything we want in life all comes down to a certain feeling that we want, right? It's not about the money. It's not about getting that car or house or whatever. It's about the feeling it gives us, right? At the end of the day. So, and if it's about the feeling, and you can literally easily generate any feelings within any moment, any given moment in time, why not do it now? So it's like cooperating in the right ways so that your reality unfolds in ways that you actually want it to unfold. Living forwards in a way that you decide what comes next, and not feeling like, you know, circumstances literally choose your life. Because at the end of the day, life doesn't happen to you, it happens from you, okay? And that is what matters, okay? The way you perceive life. Now, let's get to number 3. Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. First of all, we talked about change, and we talked about how the brain perceives change, okay? And change usually in the course of life happens all the time. If you look back a year ago, 2 years ago, would yourself 2 years ago expect the things that happened in those 2 years, or 3 years, or 5 years, or 5 months, whatever, right? Would she have known some things that have happened to you recently, or expected any of it? No, right? Sometimes we really sit down and we think like, oh my god, like I would have never expected that happening to me. Like the a year ago version of me would have never expected what happened to me along this whole year, right? So things just happen, right? But sometimes these things can be amazing things, right? But most of the time, there are things and adversities that happen in our lives that are unexpected. And those are the things that really impact us. And the truth is, they are gonna hit you always with a certain intensity, right? They have a certain intensity to them. But that intensity that they come with can either destroy you and define you, or it can make you grow into an even better version of yourself that matures in ways that she never even, you know, expected, because she never really even thought about that aspect to life. You know, people that have dealt with grief look at life in a very different perspective. People that have faced life-threatening situations live life with a completely new perspective. Things that people that haven't faced situations like that, they can't learn from, you know, never experiencing. You learn through experiencing, and through specifically those moments where change happens. And sometimes this change can be very unexpected, sudden, can impact you emotionally, but it can really make you grow. And change is the most beautiful and most powerful thing that makes a person grow. But it is also a choice. Growth is a choice, and growth is not a simple decision. Growth is a direction you choose that might seem uncertain, unclear, scary. It might feel very uncomfortable, because you need to process grief correctly to grow, because otherwise it can destroy you, right? There are so many things that can happen in your life that can either destroy you or build you up into an even better version. But that happens through growth, and growth is not comfortable most of the time. most of the time, change and growth are uncomfortable. And it is the people that face that discomfort that grow into the best versions of themselves. And people that let those life circumstances determine and define them as people and destroy them, those people don't create their own reality. Life dictates whatever is going on internally in them, and thus they feel like they're not in control of anything and they feel hopeless, okay? And now, I'm not trying to pinpoint and say, okay, these people and they do that. I literally experienced that, okay? I have experienced both sides, and when I realized that I can use those moments to become an even better version of myself and literally realize that it is up to me to decide how that event defines me, everything changed in my life. Every single event that now comes my way, I never let it define me, okay? The fourth quote, and listen to this carefully because it is a bit confusing, but stop losing your mind over people that don't mind losing you, okay? Because there are always going to be people that enter your life for a certain period of time, right? But then they're meant to go. There's a reason why they leave, right? Whether it is for you to discover a new part of you, or whether they were actually not beneficial for you and your potential for everything that's to come in your life. And they were meant to be here for a certain amount of time, and then they were meant to leave again, okay? And so many people get attached to people from the past, and like especially exes in heartbreak. There was a certain attachment towards that person, and that is normal and that is okay, and that is why heartbreaks always hit so hard, is because you get used to a person, right? They become your normal, and whenever the brain sees something as normal and suddenly something changes and it destroys that norm of the brain, it impacts you a lot. And people get attached, right, to the past. Again, talking about attachment to the past, that is the same thing. But the truth is, when there is genuinely a person that didn't mind losing you, why are you losing your mind over them? Think about that. That quote in of itself is speaking the whole truth. Number 5 is the version of you that keeps avoiding boundaries, setting boundaries, is the same version that keeps getting hurt, okay? Whenever people can reach to you in a way that hurts you, it just means that there was to a certain degree, they have crossed that sort of personal space, that personal protection that you have over you, that boundary, right? And if you don't have that certain boundary there, of course they can reach you in a way that hurts you. So it is so important for people to have self-respect. There are so many people pleasers in the world, and I was one of them, and I can definitely say, as soon as you start your self-love's journey, first of all, and it starts building your self-respect, and as soon as your self-respect builds up, you create that unspoken boundary where people even just sense that you are not someone that they can easily hurt. And this is all not consciously thought through. This is something energetically that happens. A person that easily self-abandons and has no boundaries, no self-respect, is easier for people that are sort of seen as aggressors, right? There's always an aggressor and a victim. Now, I don't mean that in a very intense sense, but whoever is hurt is the victim, and whoever does the action is the aggressor, so to say, right? Just for you to understand the concept. But it's easy to figure out energetically. Sometimes you just meet a person and you immediately know if this is an easy person to target. Like, not that you're consciously thinking of it, but it's like you feel who has that level of self-respect, and so you are more careful with what words you use, how you talk to them, how you debate on certain discussions, or how you negotiate with a person. You really feel that. You feel when a person has self-respect versus when they don't. And thus it is easier for people, like, for example, narcissists, to reach and hurt a person in that degree when there is no boundaries. When that boundary is set, mostly through self-respect and self-love that comes hand in hand, then it is way harder for you to, or for an aggressor, let's just say, to reach a person, right? Because first of all, they won't even have the nudge to do so because energetically it is felt. And second of all, because even if they do try, it doesn't actually affect the person, because the person like knows, like, yeah, you can judge me for like all you want, like you can judge and criticize my body or whatever it is, right? But it's not gonna reach me because I love myself enough that I don't care what you think, okay? That concept is also used in the idea where, let's say your name is Michael, or who cares, we're just gonna say Michael, right? If someone calls you Bob, are you gonna respond to that if you know your name is Michael? No, right? So the things affect you that you, whether consciously or subconsciously, agree to it, right? You agreed to the name, like universally, so to speak, your name is Michael, but that person decided to call you Bob, but you're like, what do you, like, that's kind of disrespectful that you just don't know my name and you used a different name, like, but I don't really care. Like, it doesn't affect me, right? Because I know my name is Michael. Number 6 is stop watering your dead plants and wondering why your garden won't grow, okay? The plants are dead. Now, this is a metaphor, it can be used, and I feel like it will resonate with the right person, with the right situation where it's applicable. But when I heard that quote, it really resonated with me, because I was going through a certain situation where it was really like that, where it's like, when there's just dead plants, like this is not something that can still grow, and you're putting your energy into something that is just, you know, hopeless because it's already done. There is really like, nothing will happen. And so, like, you know, I feel like the quote itself explains the whole thing, and there are so many situations that you can apply this to, so I'm just gonna say the quote, and whoever it applies to will resonate. And number 7 is beautiful souls are shaped through ugly experiences. Now, this is a quote that I really truly love, because a lot of people that go through horrible experiences in their life don't actually realize that these are the types of experiences that can make or break your life. You know what I mean? They can either transform you into the most incredible version of yourself, or they can destroy you, right? And now, why specifically, like, this quote is supposed to literally show that anyone that has gone through ugly experiences is a beautiful soul. That you're not a bad person. That you're not someone who is a victim and who needs to struggle. You are a beautiful soul uncovering yourself through these experiences. So really realize that there is more to your life, to your existence, to your purpose. And the more you go on this journey of self-discovery, especially after a certain experience where you had no choice but to grow or to let it destroy you, you notice so many things in life, and that is how I grew and realized all of these things. But that truly transforms you, and that is why beautiful souls, in a lot of ways, are meant to go through these ugly experiences to really, really grow and become and evolve into those beautiful versions of themselves in the human reality. That is all for today's video, and I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope it resonated with you or helped you see life in a new way, because it truly changed my life, and I hope that this reaches the right person. And I will see you in my next video. Here are 7 quotes